Alright guys, Wednesday, March the 10th, just after 8 p.m. We're going to do a little power hour tonight. We are back on the 1968 Triumph TR250 Project. If you're just joining for the first time, welcome to the channel. What are we going to do? Well, I've got two options over here on the bench. One is the bulkhead connector for the heater hoses, which is probably going to be a little bit too challenging for me to want to attempt tonight. So we'll leave that probably for tomorrow, and this looks like a little easier job for me to do. These are the nozzle and bush kits for the wipers. So these need to be replaced. These are just old ones on here. They do not have the hosing hooked up in the plenum. So we're going to remove these, put the new ones on, hook the hoses up, and then that will complete the wiper and wash system on this car. So let's do that. That's a nice easy job, right? Hopefully. Cross your fingers. Let's do it. Alright, we're hoping that this should be a relatively straightforward job to attempt. The hosing has been run into the plenum already, so I'll bore you with the details of that. If you have a look at my previous videos, you'll see me running this hosing up inside here. And it's a T-fitting that connects to the hose that runs from the washer bottle down below, runs through the interior of the car, and then up through a grommet in the bulkhead and back outside. So here is the T-fitting. You're probably not going to be able to see this. I don't think I can pull the hose out far enough. But there's where the T is, right here, right there, and then you've got obviously a left and right side connection. So we've got those here. So what we're going to do is pull the bush kit off. So it's just a chrome nut here on top. Just loosen that off. The wheel box. Pull that off. These are sided, by the way, so you need to buy a right and a left-hand side. So if you can see that, there's the little attachment point for the nozzle that attaches to this hose. Now this has to fit under here, like so. And we need to get our hands in there and connect that up. So that could be the challenging part. So we're going to try to fish this under. I may have to go to the other side of the car to do this. Anyway, the objective is to hook up that hose and then spin it so we can get it in the correct spot. So I can see that here from this side. Let's bring the hose back. I think I can see it a little bit better. Probably pays to have smaller hands in this case. Let's see if I can do it this way. Oops. I think what we'll do is we'll disconnect the, make it easier on myself. Let me just show you this really quickly. So I don't know if you can see this. It's got a little threaded end. So all I've done is I've just removed this from the plastic piece, and we'll attach this to the hose first, and then we'll stick it up and screw it back in. I think that'll work. So this goes like this into the hose. Probably can't see that off camera. Okay, that's attached to that now. Let's try to get this up here through this location. Carefully. Alright. Pull that up to here. Come back around with our So I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but there's the little threaded port there by my thumb. I don't know if that's focusing in there or not, but anyway, we'll screw that in there hopefully now. just until it's tight. Don't want to strip the plastic. Alright. Drop that hose down. Like so. Pull the wheel box up through. And then attach the chrome nut back on. And tighten it down. There's one done. We'll do the other side. Pretty exciting stuff. Alright guys, those are all now hooked up and tightened down. I don't know if you want to see a quick look inside. You can just see the tubing run on the inside there. I'm resisting the urge to wipe down the car. You can see how dusty it is, but I don't have any clean microfiber towels, and I'm finding that it's a bad idea to grab any towel you just have lying around, because generally they're going to have a lot of grit inside them and they'll scratch up your new paint pretty quickly. So like I said, resisting the urge to do anything as far as dusting is concerned until I get some new microfiber cloths. I mean, this has to be cut and buffed anyway, so not really that big of a deal, but I don't want to put any more scratches in it than I have to. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. At least we can hook up the hoses on the engine bay side. So we'll run this connector to the firewall. There's some self-tapping screws that go with that, and that gasket goes behind it. So we'll attach that to the bulkhead on this side, and we'll attach our hoses, and then tomorrow we'll get underneath the dash and we'll hook up the connections at the actual heater itself. Alright, there's always two ways to install a piece, it seems, and I believe this is the correct way. With the crooked pipe, see this one's got a bend in it, that will be at the top on the inside of the bulkhead, so it should be installed this way, like so. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. We've got some light here in the area where that needs to be connected to. There's a couple of spire nuts there, and like I said, we've got our screws over here ready to go. So we'll go ahead and we'll mount this, and we'll hook up the hoses. As far as we want to go on the heater hose connections, so we'll wait to finish that until tomorrow. Just coming up to 9 o'clock, so I think what we'll do now is we'll just pull the gauges out of the dash. Remember, they have to come out to put the gaskets on. I have the gaskets now. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the dash on the bench over here, and we will pull those gauges out as mentioned, and then get ready to put the dash in hopefully tomorrow afternoon after we get those bulkhead heater connections hooked up. So we'll prep the dash in order to do that.
Gotta get things out, right?
So look who stopped by for some moral support.
Oh.
Good evening, Les.
Morning.
Your loyal fans have been asking about you.
Yeah.
How's things going?
Things are going okay.
How's the TR6?
Slow. This one's doing good.
Yeah? Okay, Les is the chief inspector of this project.
Envious.
So he's been wandering around checking things out, pointing things out. You know, look at him. Even they're sitting there having his teas, like always just checking stuff out. So he's the chief inspector, inspector number one.
Try and retain.
Yeah.
It's too much to retain all at once.
Too much stuff wrong to retain?
No, too much to retain all at once.
Okay, I don't know what that means. Anyway, we're back working on these gauges. We've got them out of the dash now. We've got our little O-rings for the instruments. So we'll go ahead and we'll apply those to the back of these instruments now, and we'll get ready to put them in the dash hopefully tomorrow. Right, Les?
Yep.
All right, guys, welcome back. Now Thursday, and I've started the day off by making a change to this bulkhead fitting. It actually goes, so I had it installed this way, so this goes on the inside of the bulkhead. This fitting, the crooked one, should go to the bottom. So it should go like that through the bulkhead into the passenger compartment. So I've just swapped that around. So we'll put that on now that I've confirmed that that's the correct direction. I actually went back and looked at some old TR6 restoration photos that I have, and that's the way it came off the TR6. So we're going to put it back on the TR250 in this direction. If you recall, this was not fitted to this car. They had some weird routing, actually two different routings for the bulkhead heater hoses. They had one actually fitted over here, and they had one actually fitted over here. Anyway, we're going to do it correctly and install this fitting, and we'll hook the hoses up on the engine bay side and on the passenger side compartment shortly. All right, here we are underneath the bulkhead, and I think you can probably see, let me just try to get this a little bit better so I can see what I'm filming. So there's the bulkhead connector below these two hoses. You can see that, probably see that there. All right, so this hose, the top hose, goes to the bottom fitting, and this bottom hose goes to the top fitting. So we'll get some clamps on those, and we'll affix them as they need to be, and we'll come back with one other shot. Again, it's a little tight under here, but we moved both hoses off the heater box. Hopefully we'll be able to get them fixed on there after those hoses. This is going to be a bit of a challenge on this one, it looks like. So we'll do what we have to do. Alright, there are the heater hoses successfully hooked up. Now the trick will be to get the ductwork back hooked up to the heater. I think I've got enough clearance there with the clamps the way they've arranged them. So let's give that a shot. Hopefully that will go easy and we can wrap this little project up. Alright, one last look of that arrangement before we move back to installing the wood dash on the car. So yeah, it's a little tight under there, but if you remove those ducting hoses from the heater box, that gives you a bit more room. And obviously if you could have done this prior to installing the glove box and the support bar, that would have been easier too. But when you're waiting on parts, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But my suggestion would be have the part on hand when you install the heater box and run those hoses straight away, and you won't run into any difficulties as far as access is concerned. Alright, I'm going to finish up the engine side of this hose connection, which will be pretty simple, and then we'll move on to the wood dash installation. Alright, we're pretty much ready to go on the dash install. I've got everything laid out, gauges wise, hardware wise, tool wise, thread sealant for the oil gauge, dielectric grease for the connectors, new bulbs, wiring diagram standing by, old harness if I need to look at. In some cases I put directions on the actual pieces of the harness itself. You know, for example, for the windshield wiper wash mechanism, I've labeled on the old harness what connector goes to the top of the switch and which goes to the bottom, so I've got that for reference as well. Alright, so let's get started. The dash is standing by over there. We'll fit it up and we'll start hooking things up. Alright, that was a quick full stop on the dash. We're having some interference here with the eyeball vents. Alright, so I've just measured my encounter. You see the opening there underneath the two round holes? That is the hazard switch opening. And I've replaced the hazard switch, and this seems to be a little bit wider than the stock switch, although the connections are the same. So that's not fitting through that hole. So I'm going to enlarge the hole on the metal dash slightly to accommodate this hazard switch. It's turning into a lot of fun, this dash. Apparently the eyeball vents are a different size. The driver's side is larger than the passenger side. So I just fit up the old dash, and it looks like maybe the larger vent was on the other side, which doesn't really make sense, but even the old dash is a little bit tight to go in on the driver's side now because the eyeball vent is a little bit larger than the passenger side. Anyway, we'll keep playing with it, but I didn't anticipate all this little fiddling bit. All right, took a couple of hours, but we finally got the dash screwed to the face of the metal dash. And I think it looks good. It fits a little wonky on the passenger side corner. I'd like that to pull in a little bit further, but that screw is kind of not grabbing the metal dash really well, so might have to go with a larger screw. I'm not sure if the hole behind that is wallowed out a little bit, but anyway, that's minor. It is holding, it's just not pulling in real tight. So that looks good. I guess what we can do now is we can start installing the gauges as we planned about 2 hours ago. Alright guys, making progress. We've been out here for quite a while already. It's pretty finicky work, and you need a lot of patience, and you need smaller hands than these. Anyway, I've just screwed up, so I'm going to take a break. I just hooked up my amp meter without running the wires through the hole first, so now I've got to undo what I basically did. So that means it's break time. When you start making mistakes like that, it's time for a break. Gotta have something to eat. I'm starving. Alright, we'll come back to it later on when I've got a bit more patience and a bit more food in my belly. Alright guys, the dash is officially in. Still a few more connections underneath I need to hook up, like the speedo cable and the tack cable. I can do that tomorrow. And a few of the light bulbs have popped out, so I'll have to reinstall those and do the odometer reset there, get that in the right location. But other than that, everything is installed and hopefully wired up properly. Anyway, that was a very long day, longer than I anticipated. I'm obviously out of practice. I didn't think it was going to be that difficult, but it was a challenge, but we got it done with lots of patience. Only one break during the whole day, and that was for some dinner, and the rest of the time we were out here working away. So I'm happy that job is done. Like I said, we'll finish it off tomorrow. Maybe we'll bring out that center plinth and hook that up, or at least get that ready to be hooked up. And other than that, we'll find something else to do tomorrow after we finish the behind the dash work that needs to be done. All right, have a good night, guys. Thanks.